Welcome back, everyone. Oz here, and today I've got some r/am I the asshole for you all. As per usual, I'll be reading the post, giving you my thoughts and opinions, and I hope you do the same down in the comments below. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. Background Baby 1206. Am I the asshole for calling my wife's friend's dating technique idiotic? My, male 38, wife, female 34, had some of her friends over for dinner, and we were all talking about this and that. One of her friends, female 32, starts talking about how she can't find any good men to stick around. My wife and her friends are sympathetic. We keep on talking about her and her latest dates, and she starts talking about her dating technique. This is essentially to show as little interest as possible and to ghost guys she likes, since she wants them to fight for her. I laugh and say, that is just plain stupid, and of course, she will not find any good men since only the bad ones will actually do that. Like, good guys who will respect you will never keep chasing if you send out the signal that you don't want them. I am on the spectrum and can have a hard time realizing when people are upset, so my wife bumped me and told me to shut up. Later, everyone left and she told me she agreed with me, but I didn't need to be so blunt about it. So, am I the asshole? Before we get to the edits, I do love how it just turned into, why are none of the men trying to pursue me? I only gave them every single sign that I don't want anything to do with them. How come they don't want me? And OP just was basically like, that's fucking dumb. I feel like some spectrum bluntness may have actually been needed here. Anyways, the edit. So this blew up more than I thought it would, lol. I've tried to read most of the comments, but it is just too many at the moment of writing. It's 1.7k, which is just, wow. Most of you said I'm not the asshole, but I will admit that I could have framed it better. I am on the spectrum, but I am under the firm belief that while it might explain why I would put my foot in my mouth, it does not excuse it. I showed this post to my wife since some of the comments made me wonder some things, first being if they never told her sister this themselves, since it's kind of a dick move on their part. She said they have. Though not as bluntly as I did, just saying that would never work as she thought it would. But she just keeps doing it. Apparently, 3 years ago, she messed up royally on her long-term relationship of 4 years. They had a fight, she went out to get some drinks to cool off, and in her anger, she slept with another guy. I asked her if she knew if she was really drunk when it happened. Since it does not excuse her actions, it would make her more susceptible to manipulation from bad eggs. According to her friend, she was not drunk, just in an awful place mentally and wanted to punish him. She then felt extremely guilty and told him. He dumped her. Since then, she has had nothing but one-night stands and short-term flings from not-so-good guys. The best one lasted 4 months, but due to bad communication or her way of dating, he thought they were friends with benefits and she thought they were a couple. So when she found out he was sleeping with other people, she was heartbroken. She is really a sweet person, very bubbly and kind. I think she might just have some kind of trauma with her long-term ending the way it did. My wife does not know if she used this technique before that relationship or if it started after. Anyway, I hope she stops going about it that way and finds someone good. I've told my wife to tell her I'm sorry for the way I phrased it. Also, thanks for the awards. Never got those before. I personally don't think OP's the asshole in any way. I mean, he may have been blunt about it, but it sounds like bluntness is what was fully needed here. And like, OP is 100% correct. The guys who will actually respect you and take care of you, they're gonna see those signs and respect those decisions and not pursue you. The guys who are assholes and have, not so good intentions or may not be the best kind of romantic partners, they will ignore those signs and fight for you. Although, seeing as how OP's wife's friend acts in relationships, maybe she should get some therapy before re-entering the dating pool and try to figure out why she's approaching it in this fashion. Like, her dating technique is no actually doesn't mean no, which only gives a shit ton of credence to the red pill bullshit we see swarming around online. Personally, if I was doing something really goddamn stupid that was causing this and I didn't realize it, I would like my friends to be blunt with me and be like, hey dude, that's fucking stupid. Don't do that. I mean, yeah, it'd be mean and I'd probably feel really bad about it, but I would rather them be blunt about it than just letting me kind of suffer for years on end, because no one had the courage to be upfront with me. So it's either a not the asshole or a justified asshole, because I think that she needed this kind of reality check that her dating method is dangerous and not a good idea. Comfortable Ant 1375. Am I the asshole? My fiancé and his sister went through my phone and found upsetting messages between my sister and I. Reddit has deemed this person the asshole. Okay, so I need advice. I'm a 37 female engaged to 40 male. We've been together almost 10 years. I'll try to keep this short as possible. My sister-in-law-to-be went through my phone and found messages of me venting to my sister about my fiancé and some of his relatives. She showed him the messages, and now things are just very awkward between us. I did apologize to my fiancé and his sister in the phone, but we were yet to speak face-to-face about it. I am aware things will never be the same again, as some of the messages were quite unfiltered, but they were all true. No one else was supposed to see them, and I forgot to delete them. Some of the messages were about how I'm going to break things off with him due to some behavior traits I've brought up, and some past events that he continues to gaslight me about, including him cheating on me emotionally. Anyway, there are so many things that have happened, and I have previously tried to end things with him, but he always promised things would improve. Some things have, some haven't. This is gonna be a you're the asshole to yourself situation, isn't it? God fucking damn it. Anyway, I vented on WhatsApp to my sister, and we said some mean things, and now my fiancé thinks he doesn't know me anymore. Honestly, I feel bad for those messages, but at the same time, I can't help thinking it was overdue for us to address some underlying issues, and he won't discuss anything. Even before he saw the messages, he has always swept issues under the rug, and this seems to be a pattern in their family. All he keeps saying is he doesn't care, but his sister is a different story. And he says it as if I'm in trouble with his sister and I better start sucking up if I want to be accepted by her. There is so much nuance to my story, and I'm afraid to go into too much detail because so much happened in our relationship that led to my venting, and my sister is the only one I can vent to. I avoid sharing relationship issues with friends. Please help. What's the point if we can't address the build-up to my venting? Also, why did they go through my phone? I feel I deserve an apology from them for going through my messages and phone behind my back. Am I the asshole here? Alright, we're just gonna scroll down. First comment from, BMW 5986. Oh, fun. You're the asshole for staying with him. Oh, great. Awesome. Fucking cool. Fuck you. You get a snarky voice with your comment. Congratulations. You're the asshole for staying with him when you clearly have a problematic relationship already. Now him and his sister massively violated your privacy and then got mad because you told your sister the truth. What the fuck? Please find your backbone and your self-respect and get the fuck out of this toxic-ass fuck relationship. Edit, thank you for the rewards. If you gave this comment an upvote or an award, shame on you. I've mentioned this numerous times in Am I Overreacting, and I'm going to mention it here again. When someone posts on these subreddits and you see that they're in a situation that is fucked beyond belief, saying you're the asshole for doing this to yourself is not fair. It's not acceptable and it's not okay. They could very well be in an abusive situation and be blindsided by the curtains and not able to see the daylight. They might have a warped sense of reality because the voices around them telling them that this is the reality they should accept. It is one thing to be like, hey, you're not the asshole for being upset they went through your phone, and you're not the asshole for venting to your sister like a human about things that your fiancé refuses to address to you. But what you really should be doing is focusing on yourself and trying to get out of this relationship because it's clearly toxic and hurting you. Being constructive with the comment about how that person needs to escape that kind of abuse is one thing, but saying they're the asshole because they're in an abusive situation? Go fuck yourself, actually. This whole situation just reeks of smugness, and what this comes across as is you crossing your arms and going, yeah, you're obviously the asshole because you're being abused. Are we fucking for real right now? Good God. Banana Toffee. Am I the asshole for breaking up with my boyfriend after he made a very inappropriate comment to my sister? I'm gonna start by saying I don't think I'm the asshole, but my now ex-boyfriend claims I've been overreacting and exaggerating. I've been dating this guy for 3 years, and I really thought he was the one. But today, he made me quickly change my mind. I have a sister, 16, I'm 22. We have the same dad and different moms, and we don't look much alike. 2 years ago, my dad developed a severe form of leukemia and he passed away within a couple of months. Needless to say, it was the hardest thing my sister and I had to face in life. My sister took it particularly hard, and she used to love going to the gym and working out, and she stopped doing so. She also started eating much more junk food and ended up gaining a lot of weight. Today, my boyfriend and I went to my sister's house as her mom had invited all of us for lunch. We were eating homemade pizza, and my sister ended up asking her mom if she could have another slice. That's when my boyfriend said, "Are you sure you want another one looking like that?" My sister got up from the table and ran to her room. I was in shock, and I wasn't able to tell him anything, nor follow my sister to her room, which I deeply regret. Thankfully, my boyfriend and I don't live together, so before he dropped me off at home, I told him it was over because he can't disrespect my sister like that, especially because he had been there when my dad died and knew how it made both of us feel. I tried to call my sister, and she won't answer. I texted her mom to ask if she's okay, and she said she's okay and she's not mad at me, but she doesn't want to talk to anybody right now. I'm gonna go over to her mom's house after she's done with school tomorrow and bring her some flowers. I know I'm not the one who said anything, but I hope she can forgive me for not stepping up. I was in shock, and I hope she understands. Yeah, if he's gonna make comments like that to a 16-year-old who's grieving over her dead father, he can go to the fucking curb and be kicked there several times. Just like, dude, what are you doing? Seriously. And he thinks you're the one who's overreacting and over-exaggerating? Like, I am mortified by the idea of him being a father. Like, he just doesn't sound well-adjusted at all. He sounds gross, and I'm glad that you kicked him to the curb. I don't blame you for being in shock at the moment. Sometimes we just can't really comprehend what we actually just heard and have to think of, did that actually just happen? But what matters is that once you did finally put all the pieces together of what just happened, you made the right choice. You dumped his ass. You kicked his ass to the curb, where he rightfully belongs. You shamed a 16-year-old for grieving that he knew about, and showed you his true colors and how he really feels about life. Don't forget the Oz Cup is live on Gamersubs until March 9th, and don't forget to use code Oz at checkout. Every purchase made using code Oz supports the channel directly. Application opening 74. Am I the asshole for not changing my lifestyle to accommodate my neighbors? Alright everybody, get ready for a long one. A few months ago, my fiancé, female 29, and I, male 29, bought our first apartment. It took years of saving and 6 months of renovation, but we finally managed to move in at the end of January. I have recently been laid off for economic reasons, and to top it off, I have trouble relaxing/lazing around during the day. If the sun is out, I feel the need to do stuff. As a consequence, my only real relax time is at night, when I do not feel any internal pressure to be active. You might imagine that, as an unemployed night owl, my bedtime is a bit dephased with the rest of society, and it is not rare for me to get to bed at 5 a.m. When renovating the kitchen/living area, we realized that the concrete slab rigidifying my hardwood floor had been destroyed by an old downstairs neighbor, we live on the 4th floor, to attach their ceiling directly onto my floor beams. This means that there is basically no acoustic insulation between the two floors, and the lack of rigidity, due to the slab being broken, creates a lot of vibrations. When we moved in, my downstairs neighbor quickly came to tell us that the noise from the floor vibrating was a big issue for them, and we started walking carefully around the house during the evening. One night, I was about to go to bed at 4:30 a.m. when my neighbor comes telling me that my moving around is basically ruining her life. She can't sleep, is getting psychological issues, just because I move around at night. Of course, I say sorry, and I get a call from their landlord the next day asking me to go and try to appease the situation. Obviously, I genuinely feel sorry, so I go to see her. Say that I do empathize, that I will make efforts to be as silent as possible, but I can't change my entire lifestyle to suit her sleeping schedule. A few days later, her husband comes back from a trip, and having heard his wife cry repeatedly on the phone because of sleep deprivation, comes to my door to confront me. It is 10 p.m. at that time. The dude tells me I'm a savage doing too much noise, and when I tell him that I already am walking as silently as I can, literally on my toes, he calls me a liar. I decide to close the door to put an end to the sterile discussion, but he blocks the door with his foot and tries to force his way in. Things start to heat up. My fiancé separates us, they shout at us for 30 minutes in the hallway, and the next day, I went to the police to record the incident. The only way we managed to cool things down was to promise them I'd go to bed at 11 p.m., which I will obviously not do, especially for someone who tried invading my home and insulted me because of my unemployment and lifestyle. I understand their plight and empathize, but I am in my home and I won't self-impose some kind of curfew. Am I the asshole? Edit for more info. Despite the bad blood, I still make as many efforts as I can to remain silent. I literally walk on my toes after 11 p.m. I should also say that we paid for the insulation in the kitchen area when we remodeled it, despite not being responsible for the degradation. Unfortunately, our insulation does not fix the vibration issue. Also, they are renters, so they can't actually pay to fix the issue themselves, and their landlord won't do it either. Edit 2 removed the ADHD comment, which might be wrong and brings nothing to the actual story. Edit 3, isolation to insulation. Minus the husband's reaction here, that's completely unacceptable. This sounds like a landlord problem. I don't think OP's the asshole here. Like, if he's unable to walk in his own apartment that he owns without causing excessive vibrations because of a failed renovation, that's not his problem, that's the landlord. User, I'll probably edit this comments. From what you've explained, the excessive noise they're experiencing is due to their unit being improperly renovated. That's not your problem, and I would be bringing that up at every opportunity. To them, their landlord, your community meetings, everything. This is their problem. Whether they did it themselves or it was a previous tenant, this is their/their landlord's responsibility to fix it. In the meantime, I would at least try to maybe get some cheap rugs and slippers to help with the noise just as a gesture of goodwill, because getting into a pissing match with your neighbors is never a good idea if it can be avoided. Not the asshole. Sing the fucking heavens with the construction issue. Thank you. I already walk on rugs, barefoot to make as little noise as possible, and yes, I'll mention their flooring issue at the next community meeting. User A1000DS1 comments, it doesn't matter, walking isn't excessive or unreasonable noise. Absolutely no one can argue you can't walk in your own apartment. I'm a true night owl. I work third shift. I'm not going to flip my sleep schedule backwards to avoid doing reasonable things in my own apartment at night. No one should. It's not her business why you're up at night. You don't need to explain yourself. You're not vacuuming, dancing to music, listening to the TV too loud. She's literally complaining that you're walking. You have a legal right to necessities. That includes walking to shower, walking to cook, and walking to poop. In another comment thread, very competent comments, your landlord is responsible for repairing the floor for structural reasons and noise reduction. User I812, many hits comments, their landlord is responsible for repairing the floor for structural reasons and noise reduction. OP is an owner. OP responds, I'm the owner of my apartment. The insulation issue is in their apartment, but their landlord won't fix it. I replaced isolation with insulation because OP previously made the mistake in the post. User WesMorgan1 comments, then that's what you need to be telling them. Every time they complain, the answer should be, your landlord needs to fix the problem with your ceiling. And if OP really is truly walking on their toes and trying their hardest not to make any noise and it's still causing excessive vibrations, there's not really much more that OP can do. Like, even sleeping your sleep schedule isn't going to fix that, because what if you have to get up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom or to get a glass of water? You're still going to be causing those vibrations. That was a weird way of saying that. Vibrations? Ugh. Vibrations. Goddamn. But seriously, you need to talk with your neighbor and let them know that, like, you guys have a failed renovation that's causing this. This is not me. This is your landlord, and your landlord's refusing to fix this. And also, because as a chronic night owl, I get this question all the time of, well, why don't you just do a normal schedule? I literally cannot. I always end up existing at night. Every time that I try to exist during the day, my sleep schedule inevitably pushes me right back into being a night owl, and I'll remain like that for a couple weeks to a month. Then it'll kind of shift into the day, then shift right back to where it was previously. I can't really fix my sleep schedule. It just always puts me at night. Don't know why, but I seem to be happier at night. So, why fight it? Julie East. Am I the asshole for telling my sister-in-law that her strictly confidential information had already been leaked by her own mother, which caused a massive family fight? My sister-in-law holds a political office in the municipality where we live. During a conversation, she confided in me a strictly confidential piece of information, on the condition that I would not tell anyone, not even my partner, her brother. However, she also told me that she had shared it with her mother, my mother-in-law, who was likewise not supposed to pass it on. So for 4 days, the only people who were meant to keep this to themselves were my mother-in-law and me. On the 4th day, today, there was going to be a meeting with the people concerned, and the information would be shared with them anyway. After that, it could also be published within the family. So I promised her I would keep the information to myself, which I did. And edit to add, it was a secret connected to her political position, but not top secret. A strategic one that needed to be confidential for a couple of days. Another edit/small clarification, the commenter Houndstooth Reader gave a good example of such a secret that I would like to quote. It's her secret though. Think for example, I'm announcing my retirement Tuesday, or I'm announcing my bid for county council this week. The sister-in-law's own news, but not to be shared until a certain date, after the involved parties all know. It makes sense that she might want to talk to close friends or family about her own decision, but doesn't want word to get around too soon. So this is not about strictly confidential information whose disclosure would risk her position or even cause her to break an oath or the law, but it does have an impact on the community and the political environment. The day after our conversation, my partner, her brother, approached me and told me he had a secret piece of information to share. At first, I didn't react. He kept talking, and it quickly became clear that he was referring to the exact secret. I interrupted him and said that I was already aware of it, without specifying what it was about. I then asked him where he had gotten the information, and he said that his mother had told him. A few hours later, my sister-in-law came to visit, and I let her know that unfortunately, her mother had passed the secret on. She confronted her, and it led to a huge argument. After that, my partner confronted me and blamed me for the entire situation. He says the family is now in conflict because I didn't keep my mouth shut and told my sister-in-law that the secret had been shared. It's also important to mention that during the conversation, my mother-in-law lied. First, she claimed she hadn't told him anything. Then, she said that her husband, their father, who by the way was not supposed to know either, had probably told him. Then, she accused me of having told him. Now I'm in a fight with my partner because he gave me confidential information that I wasn't supposed to pass on, but I informed the original source of that confidential information that it had been shared. So basically, my partner says I'm the asshole because he told me the secret and I ran to sister-in-law, the source. Am I the asshole for feeling responsible to let my sister-in-law know that the information had been spread, which ultimately caused a huge fight? I would prefer not to have a discussion about whether it was responsible of my sister-in-law to put me in this situation and tell me the secret. She doesn't have many people to talk to, and she knows she can trust me. Sometimes you have to talk to someone and share information in order to relieve pressure. Update. Business as usual, as if nothing had happened between my partner and me. Smile, small talk, good mood. That's how conflict resolution always works here. Nothing gets resolved, it gets swept under the rug and ignored until it's thrown back in your face in the next tense situation. So anyone who thinks I didn't take my loyalty toward him seriously and that my poor hubby must be deeply hurt isn't entirely right. It's difficult to include all the background details in an Am I the Asshole post, but I will say this much. His loyalty toward me has always come last. Whether it was about keeping promises, keeping secrets, or being faithful. I'm not saying this was an act of revenge for his behavior, but it certainly influenced my decision on a subconscious level, or rather, it's probably the reason why my promise to his sister mattered to me, while I didn't take my lack of loyalty toward him into consideration. Yesterday, after 2 missed calls from my mother-in-law, I sent her a message telling her that I would not be discussing the situation any further. I think that would only create more room for arguments, and I simply don't have the energy for it. For years, I've suspected that I'm dealing with narcissists, my mother-in-law and her son. His sister, on the other hand, takes after her father. She's rather quiet, trustworthy, and handles things calmly. We'll see how this unfolds. However, my sister-in-law has already let me know that she intends to draw her own consequences and distance herself from the family in the near future. Guess who will be held responsible for that? LOL. Definitely not the asshole, and this does just boil down to the only reason why this conflict is happening is because your mother-in-law couldn't keep her mouth shut. She blabbed, told who knows how many people the secret, then he blabbed and he shared the secret to who knows how many people, and now you're the villain for revealing to your sister-in-law that the one thing that she wanted to keep confidential is being spread like wildfire throughout the family. well, this conflict wouldn't be happening if you didn't tell her. Yeah, this conflict also wouldn't be happening if you kept your fucking mouth shut, huh? Ever think of that? Why am I the villain here for letting someone know you didn't respect their wishes? It's one of those things where entitled people seem to get really mad when you find out one of their lies or find out something shitty they've done. And rather than apologize for the shitty thing they've done, they're now mad at you because you found out about it. Sounds like OP has a bit of a mother-in-law and husband problem here, where they're both working together on a united front and will not accept any kind of responsibility whatsoever for their actions. Well, she wouldn't have known that I did anything wrong if you didn't tell her. Yeah, but you still did something wrong here. I get the impression that the reason why OP is posting this here is because she was gaslit into believing that she was in fact the asshole for doing the right thing. Temporary feeling 962. Am I the asshole for yelling at the parents of a kid I babysat because they didn't tell me what I thought was an important thing until the last minute? I, 20 female, babysat for my neighbors over the weekend. I took care of their 9-year-old daughter while they were out of town. They left on Friday and got back today, and they asked me if I wanted to babysit their daughter, 9 female, on the Wednesday before, and I said yes, because their daughter is very sweet and cute, but can definitely be a handful sometimes. And I didn't think there'd be any issues. They were happy to give me the job, and it all seemed fine. But then, on Friday, I went to their house shortly before they left, and they went over all the typical rules and stuff, and then the mom, at the last minute, explained to me that the daughter still wets the bed every night and wears diapers for it. Not pull-ups, diapers. She said she diapers her daughter every night at bedtime, and I would have to do the same for her while I was babysitting. This really caught me off guard, and I asked the mom, couldn't the daughter put the diaper on herself? But she made it very clear the daughter could not put the diaper on herself. They left shortly after, and I took care of their daughter as planned. I was nervous at first since I hadn't ever diapered a kid older than 4, but it worked out fine. I just diapered her and put her to bed. No big deal. But it still really annoyed me that they just dumped that information on me at the last minute, and when they got back today, I was pretty mad and I kind of snapped. I told the mom, Dad was upstairs unpacking and telling the daughter about the trip, that it was a real asshole-ish and irresponsible thing to do to not tell me I'd have to diaper a 9-year-old until the last minute. She said she was sorry and didn't think it was that big a deal since she's just a kid and we're both girls, and asked me if there were any problems. I told her there weren't any problems, but it was still wrong and irresponsible to not tell me something that big until the last minute. I could tell she felt bad, and I left without us ever really making up, but I still said goodbye to the daughter with a big hug and kiss. But now I feel kinda bad because I clearly hurt the mom's feelings and there weren't any issues, so I feel like I kinda made her feel bad for nothing. They were a very sweet family and have lived in my neighborhood for years, and my family and me love them, so I feel bad about snapping. So, I had family members and friends who, until they were around 11 or 13, had issues going to bed at night and not having an accident just because their body, for some reason, wouldn't comply, so they had to wear pull-ups until that age. So it's not a matter of them being potty trained or not, it's just the fact of sometimes your body just doesn't want to comply. So I get that, but diapers feels odd. That doesn't feel right to me. Especially because she's 9 and can't put them on herself. I 100% think this should have been something that would have been disclosed earlier. Pull-ups are one thing, but diapers, that's in a whole other ballpark. Maybe I'm wrong here, but this does feel like something that is genuinely okay to be, questioning or upset about, because, I really wish I would have known that I had to put a diaper on a 9-year-old before taking this babysitting job. The whole situation just feels odd to me, honestly. What do you actually do in a situation like this? Because to me, there are just a lot of red flags orbiting this situation, and I don't know how to explain any of them. Existing Court 6526. Am I the asshole for sending my mom fake pictures of my son because she refused to stop sharing them on social media? I have a 6-year-old son. When he was born, I shared his pictures with a group of people I trusted. This included my mother. The entire group knew that my husband and I did not want these shared publicly. My mom shared them on her Facebook to everyone. I stopped sharing with her at all. We live on different continents, so that's the only way she would have gotten to see him. except when we visit back and forth. We recently had our second child. My mom begged for pictures. I made her promise not to share them. I said that I was only sending to her and that I would know if she shared them. Then I generated a bunch of pictures and sent them to her. Within a week, I found them on my aunt's Facebook. I called my mom and asked, "What the fuck?" She said it wasn't her fault because she didn't post them. I asked her how my aunt got them, and she shut up. Problem came up though. One of my cousins pointed out that all the pictures were generated. My mom got mad that I had sent her fake pictures and demanded real ones. I declined since she obviously can't be trusted. This is causing stress in the family and friends back home. Some think I'm wrong for being so anal about my children's images online. Some think I was a jerk for sending fake pics. Most understand why I did what I did, but some of them still think I'm being cruel to my mom. We're reaching a point now where we need to start having some real constructive conversations about AI because now that it's becoming so generalized in the public zeitgeist, I don't think a lot of people realize that in order for those AI models to generate photos of children, they had to be trained on photos of children. Usually photos that were scraped from, unsuspecting grandparents posting photos of their kids. So not only do we have to worry about mass surveillance using facial recognition to keep a database of how the kid is growing, we have to worry about large language models using that to generate new photos of children. Then we have to worry about predators. It gets messy. There are a lot of reasons to not want your kids' photos online. I personally don't feel comfortable with the idea of generating photos of your children, or photos of children in general, to post as kind of like a little honeypot trap. But I understand why OP, who may not be fully educated on the dangers of AI and what and how it actually is able to do that, I could understand why they might jump to that being the first reasonable conclusion to figure out, is my mother going to ignore my wishes not to have my child posted on the internet? And I think that if OP is unaware of the consequences and costs that it took to train those language models, then this would be a moment of education before shaming, especially when it comes to generating photos of children. I have the personal view that if you're looking to make changes, you need to educate before shaming. Some of the comments on this post actually posted a few ideas for how to get around using generated images and actually sending real photos, but still giving ample consequences to the mother, or perhaps even just making it so that way it's not as fun to post. User Medusa7898 comments, "Watermark the photos with something that says, 'If this photo is online, I'm ignoring the wishes of my grandchild's parents.'" To which Athletic Nerd responds, "A watermark is actually a really good idea. This image was shared exclusively with mother's full name, under the sole conditions that it would not be reshared or posted online. I mean, hey, if she shares it, she's only shaming himself." To which the commenter then ats OP. Trainer Honest 2695 comments further, "Oh, even better, put the mom's personal info in the watermark, age, weight, number of marriages, anything at all that'll be embarrassing to her." Followed by a more creative comment from Salamanda Joe, "My daughter asks the same. Her mother-in-law would post, now she only sends photos to her with no face, are shot from behind, faces in shadow with big sun hats hidden by the pet, etc. Her mother-in-law took hers even further by entering her baby in a national baby contest, lol. So there are more fun and creative and human workarounds to this. On another note, because we have spoken about it previously, when it comes to content creators and influencers, also known as being my field unfortunately, it gets way more complicated when it comes to how that whole situation operates with posting kids online, or the performative not posting kids online. Ooh, look at me, I'm such a smart parent and I'm being so good by only posting photos of them with black bars over their eyes. Like, we know what you're doing. We know that you're still trying to post photos of your kids by claiming to be responsible. Come on. See, when it comes to that, it gets even more complicated because then you have influencers potentially using their children for content, clout, and fame and income. And those kids have to grow up with the consequences of being essentially a micro-celebrity and might have to deal with never living a normal life. And about the black bar, if you're wondering why that's not enough, it just doesn't obscure enough information to protect the child. It kind of leads me to believe the only reason why you're posting that is just to get pats and likes for, censoring your child because you're being a good influencer parent. Can you tell this is a pet peeve of mine? God, it gets so goddamn messy with posting kids online. It's just, rule of thumb, don't do it. Keep the photos private between your family. Hey, welcome to the outro. Don't forget the Oz Cup is on sale until March 9th, so grab it while you can and use code Oz at checkout. Every purchase made supports the channel directly. They also sell non-caffeinated stuff and even sleeping formulas, which are actually really good and have helped me kind of get my sleep schedule put back together. And with all that, I'll be seeing you all tomorrow.